Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his mind. His
The Wigan Way podcast is brought to you by Cherry and White Pins, a local Wigan Warriors themed pin badge company with a variety of Wigan ranges. You can get free shipping on all orders when you use the code The Wigan Way, that's The Wigan Way, all in capitals, at checkout. Thanks to them for supporting the show.
So, back with another episode of the Wigan Way. This time after a nice win over at Salford, 46 points to 6. But before we get into that, lads, how you doing? How's your week been, lad?
Yeah, good. Half term. That was nice. Back at it today. Back to the day job. Middle of exams, isn't it? So it's all systems go.
Oh yeah, big
Chaos, isn't it?
It was, I had a week away in the Cotswolds, which was nice. Went down there with some family and the doggos. Went for some nice walks and stuff. It was lovely. Never been down there before.
No.
It was.
No.
It's nice to in a little village called Broadway. Nice little country pubs and stuff like that.
Lewis, you have that many holidays. Would you start like doing a recommendation for us each week?
Honestly, mate, it's good.
Like, what are you giving the Cotswolds out of 10?
Well, see, so it's the thing. If you want my review, first of all, you are right. I have more holidays than Father Christmas. Secondly, it's the things with the Cotswolds. It's lovely, it's traditional, but it depends what you want. You see, because it's all very tiny villages. It's very much like a bit like Lake District vibes in certain villages. You kind of go up one street, come back down another, and that's it.
Oh, right.
So if you're after like a proper exploring place, it's not that type. You know what I mean? But if you're after just little mooch, little trinkety shops, nice little street markets here and there, some nice traditional pubs with some good food and beer.
Matty, you're better on computers. Can we do a leaderboard? Give us a score out of 10.
I would go for the Cotswolds.
Be as specific as you want. It could be 9.3.
Well, I want to say the Cotswold Broadway, where I stayed in that village, for what we wanted. I'm going to go with a... Can I do points?
Yeah, that's the point.
I'm going to go with a solid 8.5.
That's very strong, 8.5.
And the thing that...
What if you got to Dubai?
It was great. No, but that's not my kind of place, Matty. You know me. I'm not this...
we're just doing UK holidays.
We'll do UK holidays, 8.5. So the thing that I think... There are certain walks, you know me, I like to get out and walk the dog and whatever.
Striding.
It was, and it
not
was
so much walks,
because they were only small villages. 10 minutes, you're at the other end of it.
You've done it with 3 steps.
Do you know what? Yeah, exactly. So it would have been, but the scenery lovely, pubs brilliant. Jeremy Clarkson's beer, by the way, did 113 beers, Hawkston Lager. Oh my god,
Was he playing?
that is amazing.
Is it good?
It's mint. Where's he playing? Good question, actually. It's nice, it's crisp and smooth. It is a Jake Wardle centre.
Oh, okay.
Classy.
Oh,
It's a classy
it's a bold,
centre.
bold shout.
Yeah, okay.
Very nice.
Good.
So you give it an 8.5.
That's gone straight to the top of the leaderboard, by the way.
Yeah.
Broadway, Cotswolds have gone straight to the top of the leaderboard with 8.5.
Broadway, Chadlington, near Chipping Norton. If anybody's watched Clarkson's Farm.
What was
near
travel
there.
time like?
Way down, we got lucky, 2.5 hours. Way back, we got stuck in traffic on the M40 and M6, so it took about 5.5 hours. So I had some numb butt cheeks coming back, sitting down in car for that long.
You can tell this was a boring game this week. We just talked about Toland's holiday.
Lewis, how dog friendly?
Stop the rugby, lads. Now, if you really want to get away, guys, where you want to go is... no, go on, we should talk about...
How dog friendly is the Cotswolds? Not a problem?
Everybody had dogs.
You need to
down
give
there.
it a rating on how easy it is to get to, how dog friendly it is.
Hey, do you know what was good as well? Normally, people around here, because my dog's a German Shepherd, and people like police dogs, protection dogs, stay away. You've got to be careful with German Shepherds. We went to the German Shepherd and a Cocker Spaniel, and normally everyone's always a Cocker Spaniel and kind of goes, stay away from the German Shepherd, keep the kids away, German Shepherd aggressive, and police dogs, protection, whatever. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. Everyone was coming over, can I say hello, can I stroke your dog, can we? Yeah, absolutely. Amazed by you.
Dogs,
which was nice.
So has that took it up from like an 8.3 to an 8.5?
Well, if it wasn't dog friendly, that would bring it down.
But if you've got a dog, that brings it way down, doesn't it? I know you hate dogs, so you're just looking for places that aren't dog friendly.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
But the rest of us who like dogs, the ones with hearts. We should do a dog 13. Imagine that.
We're doing a
A
dog
podcast
13.
I listened to actually did a 1 to 30 of dogs. I 117 actually of dog breeds. It was brilliant.
Well, we can't have
We
that
can
idea.
definitely.
Yeah, after this, we're going to do a dog 13.
We're not doing it now.
So yeah, Wigan won.
They did, in other news, they did.
And we'll take a break there. No, I do joke. Let's get into it. A couple of talking points. Jacob Douglas. Is that his first professional hat-trick?
Well, yes.
Yeah, I don't think he's got one in any of the games he's played.
No, he's not played any games, has he? So yeah, it'd be first professional hat trick.
I'm glad to see him get game time because obviously he came in against Leeds, which was a bit unexpected, and he got tight a little bit. He dropped that ball early on, so can we get another game and whatnot? Same with Farrimond, who played in that Leeds game. Glad to see him get another game.
And we had to bring him in here, I think.
Yeah. Against
the Salford, they're going to be a weakened team with everything they've got at the minute. So I'll get him in there, build the confidence back up a lot again.
What I am glad about is we didn't throw them all in. Because you can do that and end up with an under-19s playing against under-19s with 5 or 6 senior players.
That would be difficult.
And actually get a little bit overpowered.
We did play a lot of young lads. Really, we played a lot of young lads. Think about who wasn't playing. French wasn't playing. Wardle wasn't playing. Miskey wasn't playing.
Yeah.
Farrell, Leamy.
Do you think, mention that Wardle, obviously, didn't play. Eckersley played left centre. I think it's the first time he's played left centre for us.
Who played it at Sheffield?
Eckersley played on the right wing. I remember getting thrown in touch.
I know.
Might have been Farrell, someone at centre.
I don't know.
I can't remember, but he's not played left centre, so he's again showing his versatility. He's played right wing, right centre, left centre now. Can't remember if he's played into the Marshall. Might have played a game though.
Nobody's played full-back.
And he's played full-back. So he's showing a lot of versatility, showing why they backed him with that 4-year contract at the start of the season. But we should mention, Keane McDermott. First game for Wigan.
Yeah.
Came on was it the very end of the first half.
It was towards the end of the first half, yeah. I couldn't quite tell, because when you're behind the sticks like that, you've either got the numbers running away from you, which is where it's easier to tell.
Or not me if you're blinders.
Yeah, not you. That was us in the first half, and I think he was on mainly in the second half, and you've got the players running towards you. It's quite difficult to see when they're quite far away. But look, he got a chance. He came on. I didn't notice him, which is probably a good thing if it's your debut, if you don't get noticed.
Well, that's it. You can come on and make your debut and make 2 or 3 mistakes, and everyone says, "Oh, well, it's your first game." Actually, not being in the headlines and going about your business quite quietly, it's probably the best way to be, I think.
Yeah, and that's why it's still worth doing something like this. Like, yeah, maybe it was a bit of a forgettable game for a lot of people, and won't be for him.
No, not at
He
all.
made his debut for Wigan, in the Super League in a winning side.
No matter what, no one can take that away from you.
Exactly.
I am just having a look at Keane's stats from the game, and again, went about his business. 20 tackles, 4 carries. Just went about and did his thing. So
Solid.
really glad to see that. Interesting point from this game. We've talked about Bevan French getting the dream team at full-back on the wing, and at 6 they don't have a bench spot.
They should have a bench spot just so he can win it.
Yeah.
Because did you see him standing on not even sitting on the bench, standing on the bench with his hands in his pockets somehow? I didn't even know they had pockets, those bibs.
He looked like he knew what he was doing. He'd done that many a time.
He looked like he knew he wasn't coming onto the pitch.
Yeah. But apparently...
It was the most half-hearted one I've ever seen.
I was going to say, he came on because Lehman was ill, wasn't he? That's the report.
So it was like, oh, Bevan, you just want to go on the bench, just in case. Yeah, all right, but don't bring me on.
Yeah, seems fair enough. And a couple of things that led to was Brad O'Neill getting 80 minutes. Good for his return.
Very good for his return. And if you're Salford, number 58 or whatever number they're up to, and you played your first game with a new spine and you got a new wing partner or whatever, and you just get Bevan French unleashed on you for the last 25 minutes, that's just not what you want at all, is it? So I think it's fair enough not to bring him on. Didn't you?
No. Give him the
There's
rest.
no point Bevan stat padding against
Well,
Salford. And it's not even Salford's juniors, which is what Sailor stat padded against, but you don't point stat padding against Salford's understrength, shall we say, team.
Yeah.
Well, it was weird because when we saw the team, we sort of wondered what was going on, and we didn't know whether they were going to play 40 minutes of field and French,
Yeah.
whether they might have to put Eckersley at full-back and give Field a run up wing just for 20 minutes.
I thought maybe Ferryman might go in at 9.
Yeah. So there was a bit of a conversation about whether he was actually going to be used, but obviously not in this game. And you know what? Let's put minutes into people. Ethan Havard, another game. Played left second row.
Yeah, I thought he went well.
Going to be a little bit of an issue for us, that I think, that second row position as it stands. Obviously now with Walters out for 12 weeks.
Yep.
I think we've done 2 of them now.
I'm counting those down already.
Yeah, 2 of them, and we miss another week next week, so it'll be nearly a month. Hopefully Luke Thompson comes back. He's filled in a bit at second row in the past. With Farrell and December as our role main options, we may have to see.
Well, we thought that when we lost Willie Icer on the eve of the season, and good to see him, by the way, get the match ball from the UEFA Conference League final.
Honestly, right, he could be anywhere, and as long as he wins it, he's walking away with the ball. Every game, every final.
Chelsea have won a European trophy and Willie Ice has got the match ball. That's so funny. That's just Willie Ice heritage, that.
Yeah. Love it.
But once we lost Willie, right on the eve of the season, we thought 2 second rows, maybe Walters.
It's hard as well because Walter's done well to cement himself as a really good prop.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of people who might say, I don't want him back at second row. He's turned to a really big minutes, big prop,
It'd be really interesting to see what Sam Walters wants.
Yeah, it would actually.
Does he see himself as a second rower? Does he see himself as a prop?
Does he see himself as a hybrid Kai Pearce-Paul style? Well, Super League Kai Pearce-Paul style.
Yeah.
I know Kai doesn't go in the middle for Newcastle.
Does he see himself as a prop who can do you a job? Because we said it the other week, I can't remember who we played at home, but we lost. Maxwell and Kieran went down and Farrell played centre. Luke Thompson went out to second row.
It was in the grand final when Junior had his head test.
Yeah, sorry, it happened there, yes. But it's happened a couple of times this year that they put Thompson there ahead of Walters, so it's interesting whether it's to get him more experience in the middle of wrestling with against adults, because he's still only 22, 23. He's not
Walters?
Yeah.
No, I think he's a bit older than...
I think he's
Well,
23.
Junior's 22, isn't he?
I've got to have a quick look.
I can't remember anymore. People's ages.
I think he's only 20, Junior.
Is it?
Yeah, Max. I think
Sam Walters is just 24.
But again, look, it strings to his bow, isn't it? If he can do a very good job at prop and second row, better than just being one, isn't it? But I think then it brings me out of where's his best position? Like you said, Tom, where does he want to play? Where does he see? What type of player does he see himself as? But
Can I throw something else about Sam Walters? Obviously, he's picked up this injury. It's disappointing.
He's dead tall.
Is it?
It's called Sam.
No way. He's tall. What I was going to say was, do you think he's playing himself in for an England spot? Obviously, that injury now. But we talk about Matt McMeekin in the role that he played for England, being a prop forward who could go out into the second row, so you could play 3 props.
Oh no, they've got Kai. We've got Kai, haven't we? So it's tough on that because
I just think, especially now with Nicholson injured and likely to not be fit.
I would think about it certainly, but obviously 12 weeks injured is a long time. So you're really only getting back then for the real business end of the season. If he has a great end to the season, I definitely think he'll be playing for England off the bench. Can we carry on with prop chat just for a bit longer? Because I put something on the other day.
Sorry, can we have that as a new segment?
Prop chat.
Prop chat.
We already have the monster big man segment of the week or whatever it's called.
This name gets longer. Go on, Matty, take us down.
And we're still waiting for Monster Energy drinks to sponsor that segment, by the way, but they don't seem to be coming.
Prop chat. Well, I just want to talk about props, really. Because...
Any prop?
I find them interesting. Yeah, no, Wigan current props. Because I said, what do you think... I put this on X, formerly Twitter. What do you think is Wigan Warriors' best bench if everyone's fit? And I'm thinking everyone's going to pick Havard and Thompson to start. Ellis at 13.
Well, them 3 are locked into play. Whether one plays on the bench.
Let's not be silly here. 1 to 13 starts and everybody's fit. So right, bench. Lehman is definitely on.
Yeah,
Lehman's definitely on. Right. Walters is definitely on.
He's a lock.
I said Byrne. Because I think that in 2025, Byrne has been next best.
I think Byrne's been next best. And I'm not saying he's a barnstorming, prop who's going to do whatever. I keep hearing about him giving penalties away, and I heard a criticism of him giving a penalty away against Salford. Like, you're about 14 away.
Yeah.
Like, Dupree gives penalties away, Thompson gives penalties away. You're in the middle, you're going to give a penalty away.
Yeah. Just because what I saw was a lot of people didn't put Burn in their best 17.
Are you saying they went for Dupree and May?
They went for Dupree, Mago, Walters as the three props on the bench, whereas I would have probably gone with with Mago, Burn, Walters. I think that's a bit more balanced.
Dupree misses out for you.
Yeah, I just think that makes us a bit more balanced.
The thing with me and Dupree is, and I said this when we first got him on, I've seen him in, I don't think he's bad. But considering we signed, I know this isn't Dupree's fault, but we signed him for like Salford's record transfer fee. Yeah. He has been around the England setup.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like, I don't, like you're saying that, I don't see how he is so much worth more money than Burn. I'm thinking like, what, they play the same amount of minutes, they've both got an hour and a penalty in them. They both make the tackles, make the drive. They're not, a Luke Thompson 80 minutes prop. They're not a, I think they're probably the same level. But like you're saying, Burns viewed as much lower than maybe like a Dupree. I don't get what he does to warrant that price tag.
I think Burn... I think it's probably because Burn's off at the end of the season. I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
And there was a conversation, I think someone replied to us and said, well, Chan and Esse are out on loan and they're better than Burn and Hill. I think, well, I'm not sure that's true.
No.
I've not seen much from Chan to tell me he should be ahead of Burn.
I go back.
No, I think it'd be cheaper.
Yeah.
And Sam Esse is still at the club next year and Burn is not under contract and Burn will get a pay rise from somebody and if we can't afford it, it'll be somewhere else.
And Esse seems like he's doing alright.
Yeah. It seems like a good player.
Much better than Chan.
I just think... Stop talking about 2026, start thinking about 2025. I think Burn gives us the best chance to win.
I go back to a couple of things. I think Burn is a starting prop. So, in my opinion, I would start him for 15 to 20 minutes and have Havard off the bench. For 60, either side of that. When we might rest Thompson and we might bring Ellis off, giving you a steadier prop for them 60 minutes in the middle. But that's just my personal opinion. And I look at Dupree. How many minutes did he get in the grand final?
6 or 7.
And
not as many as Burn.
I think Dupree's more in the mould of an impact prop alongside the role of Mago. But Mago's just a little bit bigger than him. Now, Dupree's arguably better in defence.
Yeah.
Mago's a bit more impactful off the front. But to me, them two play a very similar role.
I think you could go Dupree, Burn, Walters, but then where do you need all the minutes from then? Havard and Thompson are big minute players. Walters is a big minute player. Burn,
there's more minutes than needed.
Yeah,
Burn can play 35, 40.
You actually, unless there's an injury, which you don't tend to account for, because your other lads can step up anyway if there is an injury. Say like Havard in the grand final 2 years ago. Unless there's an injury, you don't need all those minutes.
No.
Maybe you just need a Mago for 15 mad minutes because he can be man of the match in that time.
Well, he can do something different.
You can do something crazy. You can blow the game wide open if you get yourself in front.
Now, I think Dupree can do that. But he's also someone who could play 30-40. I think you're right. I don't think it's as clear as Walters, Dupree, Mago. I really like Liam Burn.
Yeah. I think if I'm picking a team to win a game tomorrow, I'd pick Liam Burn on the bench.
And I think everyone forgets the certainty it's been, you know, what was it, 2 seasons ago, he was playing with painkilling injections when they had literally no pack and he was just busted up. But
I remember, and this might be why I have an affinity for him, but I remember him getting slated. Because he played 60 minutes. I think he dropped the ball twice.
I think that's why we always bring him up. We always big him up, him and Harry Smith. Because I feel like they come for a lot of criticism, which probably should be shared around when we lose. The criticism should be shared around and it doesn't feel like it is. So, you know, people might say, for a
10-game period, post Challenge Cup semi last year, in 2023, he carried us for a lot of that. And obviously the Dupree signing comes on.
Yeah, we've mentioned that before, and that might be why people are thinking, oh, here they go talking about Liam Byrne again. Like, he's going at the end of the year, he's not that good, you know, he's not as good as Thompson or Havard, whatever, but I just think he gets a lot of unfair criticism. And I was a bit surprised to see nobody picking him in their team. And just say, yeah, Dupree and Byrne, yeah, both good players. Choose between them, but for everyone to choose Dupree, I was a bit surprised, but I thought it would be 50-50.
So here's one, obviously. Thompson's currently out, Walters is currently out. We're going to see the best part of Byrne, Dupree, Mago, Hill.
Yeah.
Them four have a 10, 11 week period now to earn a shot in the 17 come end of the season, come playoff time, because Thompson and Walters are guaranteed to play. The way they played,
they'll come back in.
They'll come back in. It's two of them four to go on the bench alongside. Well, sorry, three. Two of them to go alongside Walters and
Lehman
on the bench. So it's going to be a big 10 weeks for them. And in 5-6 weeks' time, we'll see who's earned it. Definitely see who's earned it.
Is there any merit to putting Eckersley on the bench? He's a bit old-fashioned, I know, but...
Well, you know I like the Go School podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. We'll talk about him later with the Bulldogs. But I remember listening to him say something about if... Obviously, there's a lot more HIAs and teams that have got a back on there during playoff records. Their playoff record in Australia is higher by having a back on there because you're covered in that situation. Now, you might need a back who could fill in at second row, or you might need...
Well, somebody did mention that, actually, putting Kieran at second row for 10-15.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his calibre of playing there is.
Enough second row. People seem to think he can play there, but I've never seen him do it, so I don't know.
But my point being is that you might just need someone who can do your job.
The only reason I say Eckersley is because he can cover everywhere for you.
I think we got an option that though. Obviously, Lehman could play 6, could play in the halves if you lost a French or you lost a field and needed to put French there. So you're not.
Yeah, but what about your outside backs?
Well, it would be a second row to centre. So we're sort of covered there. But there's an argument for it.
I don't think it's quite as simple as put a second row to centre either, because we've done that in the past and it never works.
No, and it is Farrell now. We obviously... December is not a second row.
Yeah, he is.
Sorry, not a centre, sorry.
He's forgetting everything now.
Yeah, brain's gone. But he's not a centre. He's never been out there. You wouldn't want to do that in a big game. So if either of your centres or wingers went down, Farrell would play left or right centre because he's done both. That might earn Eckersley a spot, you know.
Heck of a reshuffle, you just plug Eckersley into anywhere 1 to 5.
But can you use him if no one gets injured? It's not like it's Bevan French, is it?
That's the question.
Yeah. Right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with some news and eye catchers. Matty, you've been looking around. What's caught your eye this week, mate?
Yeah, 3 things from Down Under as always. Number 1, let's go with State of Origin. Always catches everybody's eye anyway. What do you think of the game?
I was disappointed with Brisbane.
Brisbane, you could go with the second eye catcher in a minute.
I was disappointed with Queensland playing in Brisbane at Suncorp to put that performance in. I think there's going to be 5 or 6 big changes.
Well, the Blues kept giving them chances to get back in the game. And
Blues were great.
And they never took them.
The Blues
weren't fantastic, but they were good enough, and missing all them goals kept giving them chances. Do you watch
Spencer Linnew?
Oh, Spencer Linnew, yeah. I knew you were
blowing
talking
up.
about him. He was running it off the back fence.
Yeah, but rivalries are what's making it. I mean, the rivalry between Queensland and New South Wales is enough.
Yeah.
And when you got your own little personal battles where they're going after him and whatever it might be, that's what gets you fired up, innit?
Do you not think that shows everything that was wrong with Queensland?
Not kicking to him.
Well,
talking the talk and not
They
walking the walk.
talk.
Yeah.
Queensland was hostile. They're going to go after Spencer because of what he did with JT and the issues he had. And obviously JT's a legend. And we're not going to go into all that malarkey that's already happened and been dealt with. But he had an argument with JT. He's a Queensland legend. You made him public enemy number one. Going to go after him. And when he comes on the field, you've got the option to kick it to him and try and flatten him.
Yeah, I can see why. I can see both sides to this, really, because the week before, obviously, he'd laid Max King out when he was running the ball back off the back fence. He
also dropped the ball.
Smashed Max, and they were teammates on this game, which is funny, but he'd smashed Max King running the ball back. He did drop it, you're right, but he just destroyed King, and he's a good defender. So I can see why, if you're going to kick it to someone, you don't kick it to Spencer, because he is good at that. But don't make him out to be the big pantomime villain for the whole week. Get the crowd riled up, booing him, and then kick it away from him.
Well, he stepped up to the challenge, didn't he? He came on at a breaking play when a kick was coming to do that. And I'm not surprised if New South Wales were thinking about holding him back for that because of it. But then when you have the challenge, the guy that you've gone after, and you don't kick to him, it's a bit like you're a bit scared, really. You're worried about the damage he could do rather than the damage you're going to do to him. And I just think that set the tone of the game.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the game was already... Blues already had the game in their hands by that time.
Yeah, but they were just... You know what, let's make a statement here. I think they were 12-0 down or 10-0 down at this point.
They bossed it, the Blues, though. They just bossed it. They just bossed it. And the whole yellow card for Toto kind of gave the Maroons a life.
I like that rule with the yellow card.
Yeah, no one's ever known that rule its existence because no one would ever think about that before. But
Yeah.
because he got sin-binned on 0-0-0-0 in the first half, technically time carried on for as long as Val Holmes took to do the kick. So Brian Toto's sin-bin was the length of time he kicked.
It was 1 minute 40
No,
something.
it wasn't that much. It was 51 seconds.
Was it?
So he had to do 9 minutes and 9 seconds sin-bin.
Right.
Because 51 seconds had elapsed while Val was kicking the goal. Imagine Alan Kieran kicking.
No.
Wouldn't be sin-bin,
You
would
want
it?
to be back on for a second there.
He'd been back on, run off with lads.
Yeah. Come back on just to run off again.
Interesting thing with that though, what a great call it was to put to switch the wingers and leave Crichton by himself. We talk about how good he is defensively.
When they were down to 12,
When they were down to 12,
Yeah,
he played
yeah.
centre and dealt with the Hammer and Val single-handedly.
Yeah, he did. He's a good defender, isn't he? Crichton, real defender.
You know what I love? I've got to mention this. This is the best bit about Origin. Is when they come back to clubs after and some play and some don't.
Yeah.
A few played, quite a lot have played.
Well, everyone from Queensland played apart from Ponga who wanted to play, and his coach said no.
His coach said no and said, "Oh, it's 9 games in 3 days." Oh,
No, it can't be that.
but he didn't play the game before.
He's gone wrong again. He doesn't even realise it.
I said 9 games in 3 days.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I didn't notice it until Matty pointed it out and it clicked in my head what you just said. But, yeah.
3 games in 9 days, and he said, "Oh, it'd be ridiculous for him to play." But he didn't play in the first of them 3 because he was in.
Well, yeah. Just forget that. I mean, he didn't really play very well.
No,
So he won a bit of performance in game 2.
he might get dropped.
Well, maybe.
Might get dropped, definitely.
And what else caught my eye was Brisbane losing. Madge really struggling. Really struggling, Madge. We thought it was a good appointment. Obviously, a bit of a Wigan legend. We were just talking about the Madge years just off in the break there. And for him to be struggling, it's sad. I'd like him to do well, but they're really not doing.
You know, when we talk about squad development or whatever, he's took over a side now that's got Adam Reynolds, who's 35 in the transfer for another season, and Ben Hunt at half, who they got for another season, who's 36.
Mam's back.
Mam's back. But what I'm trying to get at is, I think that's an ageing side.
Yeah.
Well,
Seriously
yeah.
ageing side, and you can carry a couple like that, but they've got a lot of age out there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The way Madge plays aggressive and high energy, you need legs in that.
What was my third eye catcher? Go School, Lockie Galvin love story. How they've managed to be CEO and player, and he's signed for the team without the CEO even speaking to him.
Matty, I've never spoke to you.
He's never met Lockie Galvin. He never would meet Lockie Galvin, but now he's signed for the Bulldog, and Gus Gould never met him.
We've never met each other.
So
who are you?
Galvin, who could only speak to clubs from November the 1st, was not spoken to by Bulldogs management, particularly Gus Gould, who just said on live television that he'd never spoken to the boy. And then next week he'd signed for them. Just completely released from his contract by Wests. Off you go, signed for Bulldogs. He did an interview with Bulldogs Kit this morning. It's confirmed, it's happening. The sorry saga of Lockie Galvin is over.
I think the West have done the right thing here. Let him go. Get rid of that. It's a bad story.
It's a bad story, isn't it?
Yeah. They look bad from it. How he signed for the Bulldogs, that's a different matter. The Aussie press has been brilliant with this. They've criticised, half the media is criticising Bulldogs and Gus Gould for having being on a channel show where he can talk and commentate and whatever and spread his word. But then the other half also criticised him for not answering questions about it when he's the only CEO that has a show. Weird how they do it over there. There's player agents, isn't there? Like Braithen Astor's a player agent, and
the player agents have got way too much control, and everyone knows who they are, and that's wrong. Yeah,
very very weird setup they've got over there.
They were talking on the Buy Round podcast about building a squad for the Perth Bears team. And they were talking about, do you reckon his player manager will be asking for a bit more money? Can we get his player manager to make him leave, unsettle him and all this? I'm like, that's football talk, that ain't. That's not rugby league. From what I've grown up as.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? Right, Lewis, you've been looking at the news. Obviously, we had to fill in for you last week while you were at the 8.5 rated Cotswold.
On Broadway, there's a musical there. Good mate. Just Lewis
on Broadway
with his dog rated different.
Man and his dog, the musical, or something like that.
Rated different British
just
towns.
People being surprised by a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
Go on, Lewis.
Should we start off with some news? Let's start off with some Wigan news. First things first, the women's team deserves a bit of a mention. 7 games on the bounce. They've won. And into the Challenge Cup final as well. So they're having a very successful season, to say the least. Turned up some big teams as well.
Yeah, all big teams. They played everybody, haven't they?
Yeah.
I know we've made a couple of signings. We've put a bit of money into that. A couple of Aussie signings and whatnot. But do you remember talking 2 years ago when we first started the podcast about the way that we were going about setting up this women's team? They set up the academy and then the reserve academy. They set up the women's reserve team. They had the academy. They had
some of the girls' teams in there as well.
Yeah.
For the age groups.
Yeah, they're sending coaches out to coach with the local clubs. Like, there's 5 or 6 really strong female sides of local rugby clubs. And we've almost took a longer approach now, but we're seeing a massive benefit of it now. And if that can carry on over the next 2-3 years,
it will be the team to beat.
I think the academy is massive. I really do. I think the women's academy, playing at 13, 14, 15-year-old and actually having that now where actually you can be picked up and play for Wigan is going to get more young girls playing the game, which is a good thing. I think the academy is massive for it.
I look at how many junior women's sides there are. I know the local one to me is Rosebridge, but they've got their own women's section and their own Instagram, and it's always buzzing. The amount of stuff they're doing.
I'm trying to think back when I played. Wigan St Jude's had a women's team. Hindley, where I played, had a women's team.
But I think
I'm sure the St Helens clubs did that away from Blackbrook and places like that.
I just think the amount now, though, I think it's increased again.
Yeah,
to the next level.
Definitely when I played. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's good to see.
And investing with a serious head coach in Dennis Betts.
Yeah,
it's a Super League head coach.
But he coached at Widnes, didn't he? When they was in the Super League,
he's coached Wigan's men's team.
Yeah, so he's definitely he's well-renowned coach, isn't he? And play.
And he cuts an imposing figure, doesn't he? And all black.
You know what's really
prowling the touchline.
You know what is really confusing me? The Wigan women's, I think it's TikTok or Instagram, keeps doing videos of him dancing and stuff like that, and it's really confusing me about his character. Because the way my dad talks about him when he was a player was like he would never even smile. But
You never watched any old games like that with Den's Betts playing?
Yeah.
He's a machine.
I don't know, but like, you know,
He's
like,
an absolute menace to any opposing centre.
but now he's doing TikTok dances as well, and I'm like, this is this.
Yeah,
is
but
this
he's
the
only
same
doing
guy?
that because he's winning games, that's the thing.
Well, yeah.
Another story involving Wigan. Christian Wade. Incoming.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works with player contracts if they're an official, I don't know, start date for his employment with the club,
I don't
but
know.
his team, it's Gloucester he plays for, and they've not made the playoffs, so
Well,
their
they finished-
season is effectively over.
They finished fifth, yeah, and it's top four gets in. They won the last game, but then the team above them won as well, so it might be Saracens actually. I think they finished fifth, so they're out now. They can't go in the playoffs.
Yeah, so it says that's his last game of rugby he's going to play with that club, so I'm guessing, I don't know if he has an end date with Gloucester and a start date with Wigan, but
Well,
at any point now, I suppose he's
Yeah.
going to come over.
Well, I'm guessing they'll have made an agreement that he's not signed a contract, and then they'll let him go the day after. The day after the season finishes, we'll just release him and you sign him up. 2 weeks to prep. Do you think he'll play at Huddersfield?
Don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, well, couldn't it? Because obviously Miski's out for the foreseeable, so
He's
it's
going to
him
have to have a
Reckless,
debut,
isn't
isn't it? He's going to have to have a debut at some point, and if you're picking a game, not many better than Huddersfield.
He's fake 'cause he's just come from the union.
Yeah, he scored a try in his last game.
Yeah. So he's not like he has to get up to fitness or whatever.
I reckon
So
Adam Kieran's taking him on golf course, building that relationship up.
possibly. Seems like a good athlete. Seems like he'd be a good golfer. He's took his into quite a different couple of sports. I think rugby league, rugby union, American football.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see how he goes. But looking forward to seeing him play. Super League news: Williams apparently fit. Confirmed 3 hours ago on Sky Sports News. Fit for the Challenge Cup final.
Well, I heard in a similar vein that Michael McIlroy might be fit for the Challenge Cup final.
So
To go against him.
similar vein to that, I'm hearing they're pushing like Sneed. But I know Sneed kind of was a
He
weird
played
one.
last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he was meant to be out for a while. They pushed him
Played in
to
the semi,
come
didn't
back.
he? Played in the semi.
Yeah, but apparently they're expecting him to be
I
back.
think
as
Sneed
well.
will play. The difference between them two is Williams has said he'll be fit and ready. Willie Peters has come out and said about McIlroy is he might name him in the squad. And we'll just have to see how Mickey does it. So I don't know whether that's a little bit of...
If you're picking a 21-man squad and you've got, a solid 20, you pick Mickey thinking he's going to be a good lad to have round if it's the final. He's been there, done that. He's going to be...
Yeah.
He's won finals before. There's not many of them lads who've won finals before. There's a few of them who have.
But I'll
But,
tell you what, you'd be worried about him if you're a Warrington
well,
player.
exactly. You think about Mickey all week. Maybe he doesn't play, but he gives a boost to the other lads. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the
Maybe it's a bit of a bit mind gamey, really.
a bluff.
Yeah.
Could be.
Right, we're going to go with two short ones because I think the last one's going to create a bit of a discussion we might end up talking about for a bit. So we're just going with two shorter ones.
Okay.
Other way around now, injury news, not fit coming back from an injury. This is injury news. Leyland out for the season.
That's Ollie Leyland.
Ollie Leyland out with ACL injury, so his season,
Bill's
unfortunately,
fine,
for him is-
which was Bill who got the ACL last year.
Yeah.
Did Ollie not get injured for Warrington last season as well?
No, Ollie didn't play for Warrington last season. Ollie played.
Sorry,
they both played for London.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
they were both meant to play for London last year, but Bill did his ACL. Bill's the 9 for. He's moved to Hull KR.
Yeah.
So lucky that for Ollie.
It is.
Yeah,
it
it
is.
is.
I think he was kind of in and out of the wire team anyway.
He's had a
but-
tough
getting
run
a
of
few
games,
chances.
hasn't he was thrown in at Vegas.
Yeah.
Then he got dropped, and then he was back in when Williams and Snead got injured, and then he got butchered against.
Why
Get run over against us at Magic.
Why went through a bad spell, didn't he? When
Yeah,
there was injuries.
well, they're still in it, really.
So yeah. So it's not what helped the cause, obviously. But yeah, not nice, obviously, when big injury. But hopefully he makes a recovery and doesn't affect him too much, and we'll go from there. And then a little bit of news people would have saw, but Leeds against Wakefield had the Rob Burrow tribute round MND awareness round. Again, really good scenes to see people doing pre-game, post-game tributes and things like that.
Yeah, I thought it was an emotional day. I know that last year was when they beat Leeds. We'll talk about it around the grounds, but yeah, another win for Leeds.
There's a couple there's a couple of weird comments about this, weren't there?
Well, I'm not sure they were real comments, to be honest, Tom.
What is this you're referring to?
There were some nasty comments about he's been dead for a year, we can just leave it now, we can not... Why do we always have to focus on one person? All this, so many people who play for Leeds have died and all that. Like, why do we need to keep having a day for him? Like, and it just... I'm not sure that was a real comment. I think that was probably somebody being, fake. It was a fake comment, maybe, doing a troll,
You'd like to think no one has that opinion.
1 year though. Just a long time, right?
Well, it was the Challenge Cup week, wasn't it? Last
Yeah.
year, which was... Well, it was around now, was it? It was at the start of June, so it's brought it back to everybody's attention. Not that it ever really left, It's been such a big impact on the game.
Definitely.
100%. And then last bit of news, it's probably going to get us talking. Before we're going to... John Wilkin, no matter what you think, whether you agree or whether you disagree with him, I've got to give him his due. He speaks his mind every week.
Yeah.
He doesn't do any of this media training malarkey. He doesn't protect anybody. He is very much what you see with him is what you get. He gives you his good, honest opinion, whether you agree with him or not, and he tells it to you straight. After the Hull KR and St Helens game, he went on a bit of a rant questioning the video ref. There was a decision in the game which he didn't agree with, and he said the referee has took ages, looked at it, looked at all different angles, and still got it wrong. What the hell's the point of the video ref? And brought into question, what is the role of the video ref? It takes too long, it's boring, it's not attractive for the game, and it's getting decisions wrong, so what's the point of it?
We've got that cash about John Wilkin.
Go on.
Do you think he does it a little bit for views?
Yeah, it definitely does, and he'll have been told to do that. Just like
but you need
Roy
that.
Keane does. But you need it.
You need
And
that.
Because I think he's very clever in the way that he words things like that, because he's actually not criticised anyone. He's criticised the system. He's not said the ref's got it wrong and had to go in for getting it wrong.
Yeah.
I think, though, what he does similar, but a bit different to Roy Keane. I think Roy Keane, sometimes, he's doing it to, like, he's not authentic.
Yeah.
I think Wilkin is. Whenever you hear him speak, his tone of voice, the way he presents and he says things and he articulates, and you can tell he's very passionate. He's very passionate about the game. And you can tell it riles him up. Do you know what I mean? It's not just Roy Keane going, Bruno Fernandes is a baby just for trying, get views or whatever.
I really don't know, mate. Because I just think...
You think he's the same, but you think he's doing it for the
I think now he's got to the point where he's gone away from that and everything. He's just trying to find something negative.
I don't know. I think he's been hyping a lot of things up as well this season. I know he's been talking...
He's a main sports person for the Sky Sports, isn't he?
Yeah,
He goes on Sky Sports News when Jenna has an anchor role and they bring in a video call of John Wilkin discussing rugby league this week or whatever. So he's
I just think he's gone looking for something.
A bit like shock value type.
Yeah, I'm looking for something to complain about and get angry about.
Maybe that's his role.
I think though, how many times this season have we been talking about not just video referees? I've been talking about the video referee a bit, but again, just general refereeing. I know, obviously, being Wigan fans, we've brought into question the penalty counts.
What I mean by that is that we've mentioned ref, but we've not. We've been talking about time of video refs. We've been talking about
the technology not being good enough.
Being good enough.
Well, I think he said all that. He said all that.
But he then goes on about, and they're getting calls wrong. How many bad calls do we have in a season?
Well, let's just talk about this bad call comment then, because it's very easy to write this off and say, "Oh, Wilkins a Saints mad guy. He's a Saints fan. He's going to say that is wrong." Don't forget, John Wilkin is from East Hull and made his debut for Hull KR. Mm-hmm. He's got ties to both these clubs, and that might be why he's in a unique position, as some might say, to talk about this sort of thing. I don't think we've seen an absolutely outrageous howler from a video referee. I'm just trying to wrap my brains. Was Jordan Tansey the last one?
Well,
there was one. It wasn't the one.
You mentioned one before, Lewis, the Harry Newman, where he dove through.
We're going back some years here.
Well, this is 4 years ago, where he dove through.
No, Jordan Tansey's going back some years.
Well, yeah,
that was a long time ago.
This one is Harry Newman. He was a hooker and jumped through the guy who played the ball's legs for scoring a try, and everybody, even the commentator, everyone went, "Well, you can't do that. You can't jump through the legs. That's clear obstruction. No one's got a chance for tackling, and the referee still give the try."
But that is just a mistake.
Yeah.
Now,
what was it that we said? What was it that we said was the worst video ref call since? Oh, the Nsemba, where Nsemba went near Ollie Leyland and he fell over.
But didn't he give no try on the field?
Yeah,
For that?
but that was him backing up the no try call. That's why I'm saying the last big major problem was Jordan Tanzi.
Yeah.
Because even that Harry Newman one, which was wrong, he was backing the on-field call. That was wrong. It wasn't as bad as Tanzi.
Tanzi just tracked the wrong man.
Yeah, we see about VAR tracking the wrong man or all this sort of stuff. Cricket seems to get things, right most of the time. I think we get it right most of the time.
Why did they change the system from I'm not sure, video ref, you make the call, to a non-field decision has to be given, you must be 100% certain to overturn? Why did they change that
They got
process?
rid of it because they said it took away responsibility from the ref. So you could just say, just check it, I don't know. And it didn't look good on the game saying, I don't know.
Well, I think also there would have been any element of doubt whatever would have been given as a try. So benefit of the doubt would have been given for a lot of tries these days. Now, I'm saying if you're sending it up to the video referee, there is doubt. Now, unless there's a camera angle that categorically proves whether it's a try or not, which sometimes, they send it up and they go, look, just check for the grounding, and it's obvious, late try. And sometimes they send it up and they say, I think he's in touch, can you just check? And he's in touch. I'm like, fine, use the video ref for that.
So it was done to counter the benefit of the doubt,
I think
always
so.
going to the
Yeah,
try
I think
scorer.
so.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was done for. To make it a bit more even. Now the referee, who is on the spot and sometimes has a better view than most of the cameras. I know it's a quick view, but the referee sometimes you can see they've got the nose on the ball practically.
And you just get a general feel.
They've got a better
It
feel.
would be very interesting to ask a referee, what is your guidance from the RFL, whoever trains the referees, whatever, if you generally do not know?
Yeah.
And I know that might be very, very weird.
I think
you'll
it would be to go
always
for the try.
think-
But
do you
I'll be
think?
honest, do you not remember? This is only an issue really from this year. Because previously, 4 games weren't on Sky. They didn't even have the option to give try or no try. And you go from a game that's not on TV and a ref just has to make a call to go into a TV game where...
I can't remember. Did every game have a video ref last year?
No.
Were they on, was Super League Plus a thing last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all on telly last
It
year.
only came back in at the back end of the year.
I don't think it did.
No, I think it was
It would have been a whole year.
Sky Sports Plus launched and they put every game on. Yeah, no, it was.
Think about what were our games early last season. Yeah, going back some ways.
But I think that's a very good point to raise, Tom. The probably reason we've noticed that the video ref takes a long time is because there's just more rugby on telly with video refs. When you only watch 2 games a week, a Thursday, Friday night game, maybe a Saturday if Catalans were playing like it used to be back in the day, you didn't really think too much about it because you're only watching 2 games. Whereas when you're only seeing a couple of minutes of video ref decisions. Whereas when you're watching 6 games over a weekend, well, then it becomes 10 minutes of video ref that you're watching a weekend. Because you see watching more games. Do you know what I mean? So that is a very good point to raise. Really.
Yeah.
So I think the general issue them getting decisions right or wrong. Most you could say, oh, I think that's a tough obstruction, but you can see why he's give it as obstruction, or you can see why he's stuck with the on-call decision. But you
We're
can
not going to
disagree.
remove video refs.
We're not going to
remove
the whole
that.
issue is the time, and for Wilkin to come on there and say, let's get rid of it. That's why it seems clickbaity to me.
I think you can tweak it, but I don't think you can just get rid of it. The video refs there, we need to use the time.
It's very hard though that with timing because because what's going to happen then is video refs are going to be told you need to be quicker, so then they'll start making errors because they're rushing, and it'll be, well, the video ref's not fit for purpose because your decision's wrong. Well, they will be because you're rushing it. If the idea is, I don't know if this is a try or no try, I've sent it up as a try because I think it might be, but I want you to check this, then they should have all the time to do it and make sure the correct decision
The problem
reached.
is, as I've said before, it's limited by how good the technology is.
Yeah.
Las Vegas, the video refs were fantastic, and we can't afford that.
We've had this conversation before. I can't remember if we've had it on the podcast. Talk about we want the right decision, we want consistency, head knocks, all this different stuff.
People don't want consistency; they want it to go for their team.
Yeah. So now we're getting to a point where we've got consistency in it, but it's taking time to make the right call. And people are complaining about that. I do think it takes too long, but
It does take too long.
I'm not going to go back to a game where we had no video refs.
But everyone wants consistency. That's why it's taking so long.
Yeah.
It's the thing that I suppose it's all context, isn't it? If I'm watching it on TV and I can't tell if it's a try or no try, it takes 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes to make the decision, but the right one gets reached, then you're okay. I think the one that frustrates people is when they look at it on one angle.
It's
quite clearly a
Yeah.
try. Everybody knows it. Can we check camera angle 3, please? Just take that back very slowly. And it's just the whole process seems very clunky and not smooth. And maybe that is technology, like you say, Matty, but I think it's the context. It's those ones that wind people
I
up.
agree.
If it's a genuinely hard decision to reach and it has to take a long time, people don't mind. It's when we watch 4 or 5 different clips from 4 or 5 different camera angles and we're sat there going, I could have told you not first one to try.
But do you not think at the ground sometimes, I've looked at one on the screen, you're looking at a screen 50, 60 metres away, and you go, oh, it's a try, whatever, and then we're getting annoyed that he's not just giving it, and you go back home and watch it, and you go, actually, you can see that his foot's caught the touchline, or it is obstruction. So on the ground, it's very difficult.
Yeah, maybe. I think Lewis is making a good point there about when you're at home, it does feel frustrating when they're asking for different angles and it's not coming, and they don't rewind it back fair enough, whatever. I think, you know me, I don't like people ref bashing all the time for every single game. It feels like it gets blamed, but maybe we just need to call it out when the refs do well.
Yeah.
Challenge Cup semi-finals, like, for example, I thought were refed and video refed really well.
Yeah.
And they made for good products, both of them. And I quite enjoyed watching them.
My issue with this is if you want to get rid of the video ref,
You can't.
they can't, but that's what Wilkins said, let's get rid of it. Are you prepared for your team to be knocked out off a bad decision because the refs watched it once? Because that's what's going to happen. Some team at the playoffs is going to either miss out on the playoffs or get knocked out and say, well, if we had video ref.
Or if it wasn't rushing.
Yeah.
Could have made,
I'd rather the right decision
100%.
be made and then we try and be a little bit quicker about it if we can. I think that's the fundamental.
Yeah,
We want the right call.
And the whole being quicker about it thing, I do think it is down to technology.
Yeah, so do I.
And they've said now they're going to give the video ref the control of the angles.
As in, so that they're selecting it, Jimmy?
Yeah, maybe that'll help, although they tried that before, it didn't really help. Do you remember when they had the 2 video refs at the screen and they were like showing you inside, while they were pressing the angles?
Rubbish.
But it was only rubbish because it took...
Because they were talking and deciding...
No, but it wasn't even rubbish because the technology let them down. And we're still in that same position. And that was years ago. And we're still in that same position.
How much did they say the system in the NRL cost?
$2 million.
$2 million. So it's best part of $1 million over here.
Yeah, a bit more.
But we're not going to spend that.
No.
I would love to, but we've got a game that's struggling as it is. So
If we had that money, we'd spend it elsewhere.
yeah. So we're just going to have to deal with it. Be happy. Making 99.9% of decisions right.
Yeah. It's a fair point.
Right.
That's the end of the news.
We'll take a quick break. We'll come back around the grounds. So, going around the grounds, 5 other games. A couple of them have actually been really close games and really interesting. A couple of blowouts, though, unfortunately. Starting off on Thursday.
This is ironic, that, because I thought this was going to be a blowout, and it ended up being close.
Yeah. Huddersfield League. I just twigged. I can't believe it wasn't in your news. Tuilola here.
Oh, this story's so funny. Do you hear about Tuilola problems with this game?
Oh, what's all here done?
This was a home game, wasn't it? But he was on the motorway on the 62. And there was a bad smash between the 2 junctions, basically, that he could get off at to get to the John Smiths. And he was in between the 2 junctions, completely closed. So he's stuck. They realise he's not going to get to the game. So Luke Robinson sends one of the young players, who's like, he's from the reserve side or the academy side or whatever, not in the 21-man squad, to go and park his car up near the motorway, where Tui's car is, walk over the grass embankment and sit in Tui's car. Tui's gone back to the ground in his car, the lad's car, played the game. The lad was stranded for 10 hours before they cleared it.
Tui didn't go back and sit in his car.
No, he did. Tui finished the match, bought some food for the lad and went over to him and gave him the food. Didn't swap places with him again, I don't think, but he gave him the food.
Go on, pal. I'll just stay with you, mate.
That kid's got to get his debut at some point at the end of the season. Luke Robinson owes him that much. What an effort that is. 10 hours.
I'm sure. Was he playing with... I'm sure I saw that he was playing on loan at Sheffield.
Epic brought himself a good book. That's bad now, 10 hours.
Phones died.
For Tui to go and play the game.
Yeah, pretty tough. But Lee get the win, 28 points to 24. A little bit of a late comeback in this. They were 28 points to 6 up with 20 minutes to go. Tries towards the end.
This game goes on 10 more minutes, as they say.
Yeah,
I just feel
a
we're
different
definitely
story,
in control there. It was unfortunate, really. I think there was a chance. The game didn't stop, did it? When he didn't call a knock on for Lee.
Yeah.
And I thought they were about to be offside. Man in offside picked it up. And he just said handover, which is not it's not a challengeable moment because the game hasn't stopped. So I think they were maybe kept themselves a little bit unfortunate there. I think they would have probably got the ball back. There's no guarantee they would have scored.
No.
So you can't say they definitely would have
Did Luke Robinson say that if
Luke,
they got the decision?
Yeah, Luke Robinson would have said they would have won by 40 points if they got that decision. So that's Luke Robinson for you there.
Flanagan looks like a good one for this field, doesn't he?
Yeah,
good young player coming through. I know we've said it a couple of weeks. We had another good game.
Mad thing though,
you
say to me, Tom, that the only game he's not played they won, or the only game they won he's not played, or something like that.
Last week
they beat LFC at Magic.
Yeah, he didn't play.
He didn't play that, but
He didn't play last week either.
they rested him last week. Obviously, concerned with the amount of minutes he's playing at professional, considering he's
only a young lad, isn't he?
20, turned 20, born December 2004, so a really young lad. First full season, whatever. And they rested him, but then played him in the reserves.
Played a lot for Bradford. I'm not sure this will be his first full season in men's rugby.
No, in Super League. But I don't get the point of saying that someone's playing a lot of minutes and getting battered at full back and at 6, where he's doing a lot of the game managing and a lot of tackling for a young lad, and then you give him a week off but put him in reserve so he goes and plays 80 minutes. Doesn't really make sense to me, that one. Big 2 points for Lee. I think Lee just needed a win now. I think this week off's going to be massive for them.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to see how they target this week off. Do they send everyone away and go and have
recharge?
Yeah. Or is it
Because we didn't have the week off last time, did they? Because it got through to the semi-final.
Or do you think it'll be a training week?
Don't know.
I don't think the rugby they've been playing has been great, but they've been getting okay results.
They've got to win, yeah. That's all that matters.
Friday, Warrington played Castleford. Obviously, there was 3 games on. Us, Warrington, Castleford, and the game we're going to talk about after. Warrington win 34 points to 24. We suggested this. They were going to play most of the side. I think most of the side played. Sneed played. Who's been a bit of an injury thing. Obviously, Leyland's picked up an injury now for the season. How do you look at this going into the final? You've not beat a poor cast side.
It doesn't tell me much about It doesn't tell me much about them in terms of the final for me.
I don't think it does.
I think you win. You just win and move on, don't you, and start prepping for that final, to be fair.
Then whatever happens in the final, at least you've got 2 points before it. You kept
get
yourself paced with the top 6. You've not
get the job done, get 2 points, and then turn your attention onto the final.
Yeah, I think so.
Cass.
Yep.
Sat on 6 points. They're currently hunting down Catalan. 2 wins away. Could you see Castleford making a break into that?
Into the top 6?
Maybe not into the top 6, but around it.
They probably needed to beat Warrington this one, get up to close to them. I don't think so. But what we're saying about Castleford, are they better than they were last year?
They might be
better soon.
Well, if you compare them to the rest of the league, they're definitely better. Because there's 2 teams that have got even worse.
Yeah,
Huddersfield have got worse, and Salford.
They finished 10th last year.
I think they're further away from them, though. Is what I mean. Last year they were. It was a bottom 3. They're now
okay. There's a bottom 2 and then there's a 1.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And they could get dragged into that conversation with Catalan for 9th or 10th. I think the aim is to have a single number finish. You can get 9th rather than being 10th, 11th, 12th like they've been repeatedly. That'd be success.
Yeah.
See how that goes. Keep an eye on that. Also on Friday, Hull KR St Helens, 34 points to 4. Big thing with this, Wellesby injury.
Yeah.
No news about that.
No, that's why it wasn't in Lewis's section of news there, because we don't know how bad it is.
But he went off. He said he was struggling with his knee. It's not like Wellesby to go off. He's not a player who's missed a lot of games.
I don't remember him going off before like this, and I don't remember him even missing a lot of matches. Maybe he's had the odd one here or there.
I think he had a HIA.
I don't could have that. I don't remember him having He's certainly not injury prone.
He's not had an extended period out, has he?
No, I don't think so. Not off the top of my head, anyway.
What did they do? Did they put Robertson or did Salford?
Well, I would have loved to have watched it, but I was at the game for Wigan, so again, clashing.
It'd be really interesting to see what they do if Wellesby's out for an extended
Well,
period.
Robertson was on the bench, so we know Robertson can play full-back. That just seems like an easy choice for me.
I think from the highlights I watched, it looked like Robertson was a full back. Another game where Wellens has failed to beat a big team.
Yeah, that's 17.
Again, it's been the same story. He's kind of winning the games they ought to win.
Good Friday,
It's getting-
2024 was the last time he's beaten one of the big three,
Yeah.
so-called the other big three. Yeah.
That's what I mean. So he's kind of winning the games outside of that, which is keeping his job, I think. But then he's not. You can't get over in the big ones.
But do you not think this?
We saw this coming though, didn't we? They beat two bad teams the last couple of weeks and put points on two bad teams, and the supporters are getting excited. We saw this coming.
Yeah, the talk out of it is very strange. To play so badly and then beat Catalan and beat Huddersfield convincingly.
Didn't Hull KR just take Mikey Lewis off and not put anybody else on?
Yeah, with about 7 minutes to go.
That's just
Played with 12 men.
just bad for me. That
Is it borderline disrespectful
I think it might be.
to just literally go, and
Don't even need.
maybe it's me looking a bit too into it, but for turn just say just play with 12 because we know not going to lose. We've got a final coming up, and people might say no, it's in their right to do that if they want to and not risk injuries for the final.
It can be
coming
within
up.
their rights, but it can also be disrespectful.
But I do think it's a bit.
I think this is really weird here because we can see how close the league title is going to be. Could come down to points difference.
It's
If they go on to concede a couple of tries, there.
I don't know.
There's so many ways, and the fact that the game finished as it did and Saints didn't score.
I think the way it comes back to bite you is if Saints then get back to their best in the next few years, then it could come back to that, because stuff like that has a habit of coming back round and has a funny way of even itself out. So I don't know. It's weird, isn't it?
Do you think maybe it was just management of subs wrong?
Maybe they were always planning to bring him off and they just had no subs left. I don't know, but it does seem weird that to go down to 12 deliberately because you know you've got.
You have to think if you were Willie Peters.
It's different if you know you've lost. If you're down by 40 points, that's different.
Yeah.
But if you're Willie Peters and Hull KR, the one guy you want fit and playing at Wembley is Mikey Lewis. He's your X factor. He's the guy that can make something. He's a good player. Yeah, we can't ignore that. And if you end up leaving him on in 10 minutes of a game that doesn't matter, he misses out on Wembley. So much criticism there for a game that's already won. I can get why you brought him off. I just think it's a mismanagement of subs, and hopefully it doesn't affect them again. Well, hopefully for us it does, but.
He was getting a lot of stick apparently from the away end. Obviously he plays up to it. Like when he scored, he was playing up to the away end, antagonising and whatever. We want characters in our game. He's a character. Whether you like him off the pitch, whatever. He's a good player on it, and he's a character, and he gets people talking, and he winds up opposition crowds. Players that do that are like gold as far as marketing wise. Tompkins, Connor, Breers for a while.
Do you think there's a weird thing with this sort of? It's really funny we talk about this because I was listening to the Overlap, the football podcast.
Yeah.
And they were talking about James Maddison being a character and talking about older players who were characters. So to be that, you've got to be a top player and win things. I still get that he's not won it yet. I know he's won Man of Steel. But to be that Panther
but he's one of the best players in the country, so he is that. I think he is that. I think he's got that. I mean, it'd be different if somebody else who, no disrespect, who wasn't a superstar of the game, who's never played for England or who never, it's different if somebody does that. Or like he was just coming through, say, for example, it was Harry Robertson. You're like, well, you've just not done it. I know it's not Harry Robertson, but just as an example, someone coming through, a young lad making his way. You've not done anything in the game. Whereas Lewis, because he's won Man of Steel, at least he's done something. Not trophy-wise, but at least he's won.
At least he's done something.
Yeah. he's done something, and he is one of the top players. He plays for England.
I don't know, mate. I don't know how I feel about it because he hasn't won it yet. He hasn't won that trophy.
Well, so he can just start being a pantomime villain next week if they win.
No,
if they lose, he can. I think he's well within his rights to do whatever he wants, first of all. But he works as a pantomime villain because he's a good player. Pantomime
He
villain
has to be prepared for the response he's going to get if they don't win.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But pantomime villains don't work if you're not a good player.
Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that he's a good player.
Yeah.
But right, next game over to Saturday. 2 games on Saturday. Leeds Wakefield. Leeds coming through 22 points to 18.
Crack of this.
Yeah, both teams looking probably better than we'd expect them to,
Yeah.
really. Leeds, I mean, maybe some people did expect it with Brad Arthur at the helm as the coach. The Wakefield being really competitive and pushing for a spot high up on the table. So it looked like a juicy game pre-game, this one. That's what we got, really. A nice close cracker of a game.
Do you think both of these make the top 6?
Well, Leeds do.
As it stands, Leeds do, and it would have to be a serious wheels fall off moment.
I
think Leeds... I'm just having a look at the table now.
The third...
I wouldn't feel comfortable predicting Wakefield to finish in the top 6
No, I think
at the expense of St Helens, because St Helens have had a lot of their difficult games.
Yeah,
already.
but if it's not Sage, it's going to be Hull or like a Lee, and I can't see Hull or Lee dropping out either, to be fair. If there's Wakefield do get in for anybody, and that's before we even talked about why you're coming good again and pushing for the top 6, who's in 8th at the minute. I think if anyone's going to fall out of that, it probably would be Hull. I would back Saints and Lee and Wire to finish above Wakefield.
Yeah.
But it's good to see them, I suppose, overachieving and being competitive in games where you'd possibly expect it to be a bit of a blowout.
Yeah, I think so. I think Wakefield, we've said previously, they're much more difficult to beat than they were last time they were in this division. They've got a better squad, they've got a better coach, they knew they were coming up. That's the luxury of being able to do that. But it's still easier said than done when you come up to a new league. And yes, you've got a habit of winning, but you've got to do it. And for them sitting in 7th, I know they've got some tricky games soon, but they're up there, they're challenging, they're doing well. And Leeds, I don't think many people would have predicted Leeds to be 3rd at this stage. I know you were saying there, Brad Arthur obviously is an excellent coach and has got them playing well. But I just think there were a lot of question marks about their squad, and he's got the best out of someone like Jake Connor. He's got Ryan Hall still playing well, which a few people had question marks over his production. He's got Newman playing well. So I think he deserves a lot of credit, Arthur.
Just looking at next week's games, and these two actually have got some more juicy games coming up because Leeds are going to play a Wire. And that's on the Saturday. And on the Sunday, Wakefield are going to play Lee.
Where are both them games at, sorry?
So Wakefield play Lee at Wakefield and Leeds and Wires at Headingley.
So they've both got a home game against a decent-ish side.
So there could be 2 tasty games as well.
But Wires off the back of
It is off the back of the cup
fan, isn't it? So
they could be either looking for a bounce back or on the beers. So that's interesting.
Well, they lost after the cup final last year as well, didn't they? After I saw them in the M6 services.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting whether they've targeted it differently and how they plan on dealing with this.
Yeah.
Leeds, do you think they're the lock for that 3rd position? Have they overtook Warrington Saints, Hull FC? I mean,
to be the 3rd best team in the league.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very.
I'm only saying that because I'm looking at the run of games that they've had. I think they've had a favourable start to the season. They played Castleford twice. They played Huddersfield, Salford twice. Now played Wakey twice. They did lose the first one of them.
They've not been to the top 2, have they?
No, they had Hull KR at home, which they lost, and they beat us by 2 points. That's a good result for them. But I'm not looking at the one real test you'd say is Catalan away. We go to an away ground and they lost that 11-0.
That was a weird game.
Yeah, so have they really faced it? I know they lost to Warrington in a close one.
Well, the big challenge was they beat us when we were down on troops and we lost to a header as we've mentioned many times. Going to Saints and winning, that's a good result.
I'm just looking. This is a serious run of 5 games they've got. Warrington, Saints twice, Lee and Hull KR. That could make or break.
Yeah, true. That's true.
They could very easily walk away with 2 points from 10, though.
Yeah, might know a bit more about Leeds.
Yeah, we will.
3-4 weeks time, maybe.
Big time.
But I think you can only do what's in front of you. If it beat a Wigan, if it beat a Warrington,
Yeah, beat
Saints, like they're doing.
They're in the conversation, which
I
they
think
probably
so.
weren't with last year.
Yeah.
Right, last game. Catalans, Hull FC. Only the second team to be nilled 3 games in a row.
Kick him out the league. No, I'm joking. Don't kick him out.
How's your flat cap?
Yeah.
The thing is, they'd be well annoyed because if you kicked them out of the league, next best team, top of the championship, to lose.
Yeah.
Could end up with 8 teams all based on the M62 if we kick everyone out.
8 teams based in the M62.
Obviously,
We've already got 11.
Yeah, but Huddersfield, what's going on with them?
That's
They
an
might get
M62.
relegated. Salford, they
M62.
might not exist though. I'm just thinking genuinely like...
Oh, you're getting rid of all these M62 clubs?
If you get rid of Catalans, might as well.
Swinging the axe.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I don't want to make the league. It's very bad. It's very bad what's going on at Catalans at the minute.
Well, Joe Tompkins said it was embarrassing. I suppose he's right. Yeah, it is.
When did he go to Catalan? Was it the start of this season or the end of last?
Oh, I can't remember now.
He's not been there a year, has he?
No, he left us. Oh, I can't remember.
I think letting McNamara go was... I know he's in a bad run of form. I know recruitment was... But to have no one lined up just to let him go and just be like, right, Joel, interim charge.
I'm not convinced they let him go.
Do you think he's left because he's got his eyes on...
Maybe. I just think he's left because he realises he's took him as far as he can.
I think it's more that I think sometimes you just get flat.
I think they were a bit surprised. I think it took Tompkins by surprise. I think it took the players by surprise. I think it took the club by surprise. I think they weren't expecting him to leave.
There's only so many times you can have the same battles and rebuild a squad and seeing it with...
You can't be, though, if they were thinking about getting rid of him, which they must have been doing because he used up a lot of his credit last year, you can't then beg for him to stay. If he wants to go, even if you've got no one lined up, you've got to say yes.
Yeah, I suppose.
And maybe it's just an element of it's right from both. Catalans were thinking about it.
He's gone insane.
And he said, I've had enough.
Yeah,
I can't do it again. And
let's do it.
Let's end this relationship before it becomes awful.
It's just not a good thing for the club, is it?
No, but he's brought more success than Catalan had ever had.
I'm not having a go at him. I'm just saying for like us as neutral fans, who want competitive games, seeing a Catalan team keep getting nilled every week in the south of France. Like, you don't want to see all of his hard work and all stuff he was building going down the pan, do you know what I mean?
But you know what surprises me about Catalan is they're the only club that we don't really know what's going on in the background.
No.
In terms of...
Someone was saying
does
today...
McNamara do all the player decisions? And...
They had big numbers again at the game.
Yeah.
Considering they've been nil twice in a row. And somebody said, do we know how many season ticket holders they've got? Or do people just turn up for the games and that's like a thing that you do and you pay every week? And we just don't know that sort of thing about Catalan, do we? But they...
Well, I mean, is he like...
They're getting decent numbers.
Everyone knows at Wigan, Fadlinski's director of rugby, or whatever you want to call the role. St Helens have got
Mike Rush.
Warrington is
Fitzpatrick.
Hull FC is
Richie Marley.
Okay,
I've got one, but I've forgotten his name. That is that bald fella.
Yeah, so they've all got them, and you can see
That might be his name.
that bald fella.
That's what I was calling.
But you know what I mean? They've all got it, and you imagine all that. Adrian Lam had Chris Chester for a long spell.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
They're doing player retention, bringing it.
Well,
Who does that at Catalan?
The Leopards have somebody else, don't they? That we know well.
Yeah, but who does that at Catalan, or is it just McNamara? Has he had full reign of signing these players? Are these players that he wanted? Because he went very young and very French.
Tiaki Chan's dad is director of rugby at Catalan.
Is he?
Joe Chan.
But
Not Joe, sorry, Joe's his older brother, Alex Chan, who used to play for...
I just look at the way that it's changed all of a sudden. They went young, they went with some experienced heads, they brought Sam in, they brought a couple of others, young and they wanted energy and people with things to prove.
I think that was an Alex Chan thing.
But now it seems to have gone back to
I've not heard that he's leaving. I've still seen him on the games.
But it's now like Catalans of 2012 were an all-star team from 5 years earlier. Like,
We said that in our pre-season episode, didn't we? It's
It looks like a fault,
in 2022 or
But I just
how
don't
many
get-
years you want to go back.
if you were McNamara, would you be happy with that? You've built this young side. You've had your chance at probably getting there and you go, let's rebuild again. And actually, you've possibly took a step back.
I think there's a depth problem. If we look at the players who are playing, there's 11 French players against us.
Yeah.
Lots of them backup reserve players, so to speak. Our favourite, Jordan Desiree, like getting a game from.
Yeah.
There's a few people you think have been round and failed at other clubs, really. Desiree, for one, but like Theo Fage, who was at St Helens, was at Huddersfield, sort of seeing the end of him. Chris Satai was let go by Hull FC.
Satai was a fantastic player, but definitely the wrong end of his career. Now.
Yeah. Elliot Whitehead had been a brilliant player, but he's 37.
Yeah. I suppose the one you'd say who's not in that mould is Ollie Partington, and he's been probably the most consistent performer in the forwards.
Yeah.
And he's kind of the player you think, oh yeah, that's a decent signing. Partington, decent signing that.
Yeah, it is. He's a good squad player and whatever, but and they still don't have a 9. They're playing Benjamin Garcia, that is not good squad management.
No.
Should talk about Hull FC.
Yeah. Will Price scored a nice couple of tries, didn't
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Nice couple of tries.
he?
They seem...
They're terrible in the halves, Newcastle, and Will Price is doing really well. I think maybe they could have given him more of a shot.
I like Will Price.
Yeah.
I do. I think he's going to be a talent. I think he possibly went over there a bit too early.
Maybe.
I think maybe if he would have stayed last season Super League, done a season like he's doing now, and then possibly went over there maybe a year or two's time,
I always
I
think
think he'd had a better chance.
well,
But
lads going, you either have to go once you've made it, or go really young so they can mould you. There's a couple that they've took, like, at 18 that they've really liked the looks of and moulded
Like,
into the players they wanted.
What's his name? Rushton.
Yeah.
yeah,
And they tried to mould him into the form that they wanted, and obviously he came back, and that is what it is. But I think maybe go 2 years earlier, or 2-3 years later.
I
Win
think
at
Lewis is
21.
right. I think you might as well cut your teeth in Super League for a few years and have this kind of a season where you start dominating before you go.
Do you think...
That brings a different pressure, though. I mean, it probably makes you more likely to start, but it brings a different kind of pressure.
Do you think he's a half? Because I think he's a straight up fullback.
I don't think it matters.
So I just think...
I think he's one of them 6 or full.
Yeah, I just don't think it matters. Wherever you play him, he'll play exactly the same way.
What I mean
it's just what your team suits. If you've got Cade Cust who's playing well, you can play with Price at fullback.
What I mean is, I'm talking about his NRL bit, is I don't think he's great defensively, which I think might just have stopped him getting in the halves. And obviously, he's not going to get rid of Ponga at fullback. That might have limited his things. I do think he's a fullback.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Good player though.
Very good player. Another talent for England and another question for Sean Wayne. Sean Wayne. Serious contenders for the top 6 and then potentially playoffs, do you think?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I think that home playoffs would be massive if they could get...
They've been better away from home, really.
I know, when you get fans there...
I definitely think they're in contention for the top 6. If you think now Saints out of form, they're definitely up there competing. Probably for the 5th or 6th spot, rather than pushing for top 4. But I would say they're definitely in there for a 5th or 6th spot.
They're one of them, like, we used to talk about Hull FC being hard to beat, but the good sides always seem to beat them. Like, they were a good side, but the great sides beat them. Feels like we're there again.
Yeah.
They've beaten all the teams that you would expect them to beat.
Slip up at Magic Weekend.
Bar the Magic Weekend slip up, and all the teams that are challenging for the top have beaten them. And you feel like that's probably about where...
There's a couple of injury concerns in there. Obviously, there's talk of Asiata missing an extended period. And
he's important for them.
Yeah, he's massively important. And we have said that it's an oldish squad. So how they revive that and renew that for the next couple of years is going to be interesting. And I actually hope John Cartwright it's a decent go at it. And
he's doing a fantastic job, I think.
He'll get a good goal.
Right, so that wraps up all the games.
Mm.
Super League looking interesting.
Yep.
Runaway top 2 Leeds, Lee in the little bracket there. And then a serious competition for 4, 5 and 6. For about seven clubs really could push the way into that. That wraps it up. Thanks for joining us, lads.
Yeah, that is
No
episode
problem.
96. Can you believe that?
Nervous 90s.
90. Well, we're 4 away from it now. Yeah. I've been there before.
The nervous 90s.
I finished on 96 once. Yeah. Game was over. What can I do? What can you do? Game was over. I was on 96. Should just let me carry on.
I don't think it works that way.
No.
80
good though.
80 minutes is up. You've already put 60. Coach, carry on and put another 2.
We're getting close to the big 3 figures.
Yeah.
Thinking some ideas for what we can do when it comes time for it.
The 100 episode special.
Yeah. That will be special.
What could be done. Right. Thank you for joining us, Matt, Lewis. Been a pleasure as always.
Yeah. Nice fun.
And we'll see you next week.